Our GMC Sierra tweet of the night comes from NHL Network, or NFL, NHL, what am I saying? So far away I can't see it. Sidney Crosby. And all you need to know is that he's 37 years old, Chris. And for the first two periods anyway, he looked like Canada's best option in this Four Nations tournament, which, by the way, has all the best young, dynamic skaters, and yet here it is. Crosby at age 37 had two big helpers, one of which was a no-look behind-the-back pass to his Nova Scotia friend, Nathan MacKinnon. It's amazing how he lifts his level of play, especially coming back from an injury. He was dynamic, although that game is now tied to 3-3.
Well, a couple of things here, Bob. We had Tyler Kennedy on today. I said Crosby's obviously still one of the best players in the world, but he'll be going against all the other best players. I said, TK, what element of his game is still going to show out even against the rest of the world's best? And he basically just said hockey IQ, instincts, game sense. And I think that's where certainly both of his assists really were that kind of play. His placement, his just willingness to put passes out there that are maybe high risk, but he seems to be two steps ahead. And, you know, Pony gave me a hard time for this. But I said, you get into these international competitions, you keep an eye on Sweden, Bob. You keep an eye on the Swedes. They always sneak up on you. No one talks about, oh, Canada and the U.S., or if Russia was playing, it's Russia. And then here come the Swedes just traipsing up on you, winning the gold potentially. Mark my words, Sweden's got a real chance to win this whole thing.
Yeah, they do, and they have a goaltender the Penguins would love to have. In fact, they once had. Filip Gustafsson is in goal tonight, and he was traded for Derek Brassard at the time. People said, wow, and that was when everybody's trying to win now, and they did, but you gave up a goaltender like that who could right now be your #1 goalie. Let's get to the lines at 412-575-2600. We'll begin with Noah in Huntington. What's up, Noah? How are you?
Hey, Bob. I met you at training camp. You're a great human being, but I want to get to the points here. Spencer Horwitz and Ke'Bryan Hayes, they both have chronic problems, and I want the investigations done on Pirates because Ben Sherrington has malpracticed this team to order to bring in Spencer Horwitz, who you knew had a wrist problem, and you had other options out there, and you're unwilling to spend money. You sat on your hands the whole offseason. I'm just sick and tired of, you know, you're a competent team. Like, you got Paul Skeens, Jared Jones. You finally have pitching. You have O'Neal Cruz. Nick Gonzalez really showed something. Now you're begging for Billy Cook, Nick York, all these young guys to produce. And who knows if they can? You don't know. They haven't even played
I'd rather
yet.
see Cook at first base right now if their plan is. Thanks for the call, Noah. Because I don't want to see. He mentioned some guys today. DJ Stewart. I have no idea who that is. And there's another guy. Okay, they're probably journeyman, Chris, but I'd rather have a young kid that they traded for, put him in there, and let him play if that's the case. But I don't think they're going to do that. But as far as Ke'Bryan Hayes, I'm not going to blame him on that. I thought that was a good deal at the time, and I don't know. I have to look back. Do you remember when his back started to give out? Was it after? I think it was after he signed that deal.
I mean, I thought that they knew he had possible back issues for a while. I think that when they signed the deal, people, let me put it this way. Let me go, wind this back. He signed a deal at a time when most players wouldn't sign a deal, particularly after the very initial introduction he had to Major League Baseball, tearing the cover off the ball. I would just wonder, if the Pirates were curious as to why he was so willing to sign a contract like that at such a relatively young age. You would almost think, hey, wait a minute, does the player have some own private misgivings about his back or some other part of his body giving out that he would sign such a deal? But whether they knew or not, it's obviously worse if they had some inkling. They signed a player to a long-term contract who, when I read stories that say Ke'Bryan Hayes feels healthy finally and is ready to go, I just say, I don't know, Bob, I've never had back problems. I don't know if you've had them. But
I've had every kind of problem,
I know
yes.
Yeah. Well, most people I know, in all seriousness, who've had real back problems say, yeah, you can feel great for 6, 10 months, 2 years, and then suddenly your back spasms again, and you're right back to square one. So it's one of those things that I almost feel like is never fully healed and can never be fully trusted.
Yeah, that's true. But what I would say on that is the Pirates have been guilty of a lot of things, and there are some people out there who want them to be proactive and sign guys before they become bigger offensive numbers, whatever the case may be. And in his case, that was a really good franchise-friendly it was more money, and I realized times were different when Andrew McCutchen signed for 6 years, $51 million. A lot of people say, why would you do that? Maybe you didn't want the guaranteed money and just make sure of that. Maybe that was with the thinking of Brian Hayes. But I gotta go back and look just the severity of this back injury. I don't think it was as severe. And I know what you said, but it may have just happened after the fact. But so I don't blame him for that contract. This one I don't like, or this trade I don't like.
I just, the caller there sounded kind of so passionate and so frustrated, and sounded like a younger caller too. So I'm like, I'm sympathetic to that. I don't think that person's yet been maybe beaten down.
True.
But it just is so it is so wild to consider that across the industry, the feeling was the Pirates gave up more than they got. And what they got, they knew at the time, was a player with a busted, one of his parts didn't work quite the way that you would want it to. It wasn't as healthy. I go back to, did Bob Nutting really want to bring Ben Cherington back? Was that like a united decision there in that brain trust? I imagine Travis Williams has some sort of role in all of that. Why bring the guy back if he's going to have the wallet only opened for $10 million for outside free agents, and if you don't think he's doing a good job in the first place? Just very dysfunctional all the way around, Bob.
Yes, indeed. Let's go to Newcastle. We got Mike on the line. Hello, Mike. Welcome to the Sports Call.
Bob, Chris, how you gentlemen doing tonight?
We're good, thanks.
Okay. Since the Red Sox just signed Alex Bregman, and apparently they'll probably move Rafael Devers to first base, and we apparently, if a ball's hit to our first base, we don't have no one there. Do you think Tristan Casas will be available? Because I heard rumors that he could be available to the Pirates and stuff, and definitely this transfer would work well for us now.
They're not going to go after any. I feel confident saying they're not going to try to address first base in any sort of splashy way while Horwitz is out, or they're not going to. Any player that's still out there that's available either via trade or is still a free agent. Bob, I don't know about you. I think pretty much what you see is what you get with this team right now. Yeah, all internal. That was the whole theme. Oh, it's urgent to win, but by the way, all of our improvements will come from guys you already know about because they're already on this roster. One of those two statements don't really match up. You're urgent, but you're going to trust guys that have been part of 76-win teams. Come on.
Jack in Mount Lebanon is joining us right now on the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call. Jack, are you on?
Yeah, I'm here. How you guys doing tonight?
We're good. What's on your mind?
Well, I don't think Bob Nutting cares what goes on the field, because if people were stupid enough to go see this team and Nutting gets money, he's a businessman. He's making money. He doesn't care what goes on the field.
Listen, I think he does, but I don't think he's willing to spend what he needs to get it to another level where you can make more money. I think, and I thought at the time, going through 3 years of 13, 14, and 15 may have opened his eyes to further, if he's a true businessman, you can make a lot more money if you have a productive team, because you're going to make enough regardless. And then all of that extra gate, all of the marketing, all of the stuff that goes with that, with merchandise. If I'm looking at this from a business point of view, that's how you really make more money than you make right now. Why not go in on at least bigger than what they've shown?
I think he cares about winning, but very crucially, I think he cares about winning and doing so on his terms. And I think he's made it very clear what his terms are.
Yeah, but when your term means you don't have anyone of hitting ability in your system, and they don't, the only way you can augment what you already have, and you're missing your window. Smart business savvy would tell me that I have a generational type of pitcher, maybe two, or at least somebody maybe three in Chandler gets up there, who knows. But if you have a guy who's favored to win the Cy Young, you owe it to yourself, to him, to surround him with better options. And, I think people already know he's not going to last here very long. But at least while you're here, this window, that's the frustrating thing about it, Chris. They have a chance.
You think that, and I think that. But what matters is, does Bob Nutting? The answer seems to be no. He does not think he needs to do those things.
Well, we're going to take a break. We'll find out how it goes. They're going to be in a lot of games, and you watch. There'll be a lot of one-run games, and they may not have bats to win them. We'll come back with more right here on the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call. Let's go out to Dan in New Kensington, who joins us live right now. Hello, Dan.
Hi, Plump. How you doing?
What's up?
Hey, before they traded for Spencer Horowitz, you mentioned Paul Goldschmidt coming here, and the Yankees signed him for $12 million a year. And I
would
called
take
Richie Walsh, and he said that he probably didn't want to come here to play in Pittsburgh. Because every time he came,
well, then
here,
overpay him. Listen, I'd rather have a broken Paul Goldschmidt at age 34 or 5, whatever he is, than what I have here. That guy at least, I guarantee you, he could put up more than 12 home runs like Horowitz did. And I'd pay, if they gave him 12, I'd say, what do you want, 20? Give you 15, 18, I don't care. I would have taken him, Chris.
I do think Goldschmidt has fallen off a cliff by and large, so I'm not sure I would be as gung-ho about it. But I get why people look at a name like that they recognize and say, I'd rather have that guy than some guy in a trade who's apparently got a busted wrist that the team knew about. Like, I get it. I get that, the appeal of that basic concept.
All right, you see our poll numbers. How much interest do you have in Four Nations? So far, none is leaning by 60%. I'm surprised by that, given, there's some Penguin connections in there. And quite frankly, it's a good exhibition, Chris, right? It's fun to watch.
It might be the last time you see Sidney Crosby playing in a game of great import, at least to him.
Yep. And who knows, he might score the game winner. It's 3-3 right now. Highlights at 11. We'll see you tomorrow right here on KDKA+.